Let me tell you something most people won't. Good morning, everyone. Most people settle, not because they made a big decision to quit, not because they hit some massive wall, but because they slowly gave up. They let life dull their edge. They started saying, this is good enough, and they convinced themselves that comfort was peace. But it's not. It's just quiet surrender. Mediocrity is not a sudden fall. It's a silent slide. It's a decision you don't even realize you made. And that's the real danger. See, average doesn't come in kicking down the door. It comes in like a whisper, a compromise here, a shortcut there, skipping one workout, holding back on one dream, telling yourself maybe later. Before you know it, you've built a life around less effort, less risk, less purpose. And the worst part, you call it normal. Let me ask you something. What have you chosen without realizing it? What have you stopped chasing because it got hard? What have you accepted just because everyone else around you did too? Have you stopped fighting for your best life because it didn't come easy? Have you lowered your standards just to feel like you fit in? See, you don't have to say I give up for your life to stall. You just have to stop trying. You just have to let one day slide by, then another and another, until what once was a dream becomes a memory, and what could have been a life of purpose becomes a life of routine. Ask yourself right now, are you proud of what you've settled for, or did you just stop asking for more? Average is everywhere. It's easy. It's accepted, it's expected, but just because it surrounds you doesn't mean you should follow it. Average is showing up late and blaming traffic. Average is putting in half the effort and wondering why life feels empty. Average is scrolling through someone else's life while doing nothing about your own. And people will tell you, it's fine. They'll say, don't stress too much, you're doing okay. But okay is the trap, because once you start believing that being average is normal, you stop chasing what's possible. Let me be clear, normal doesn't mean right. What's common isn't always what's best. What's easy isn't what builds you. And what's average will never bring you a life that feels full. So don't let the crowd tell you who to be. Stand up, step out, live above the line. Average doesn't slam into your life. It sneaks in. You don't just wake up one day and say, I'll live halfway. It happens in the small things, the skipped workouts, the missed opportunities, the conversations you avoid because they're uncomfortable. One day turns into a week turns into a habit, and before you know it, the fire's gone. But here's the truth. You didn't fall into average. You chose it one excuse at a time. You chose comfort instead of effort. You chose easy instead of growth. You chose fear over movement. And you might not have said it out loud, but every time you pulled back when you should have stepped up, every time you hesitated instead of acting, that was a decision. You don't end up average by accident. You get there by defending the very things that are holding you back. And until you admit that, you'll keep slipping and calling it life. Let's rip the mask off. Some of what we call balance is really just laziness. Some of what we call logic is actually fear dressed up in a suit. And some of what we call humility is nothing more than fear of being seen. You've been telling yourself you're being realistic. You're not. You're just afraid to push. You've been saying you're pacing yourself. You're not. You're just avoiding the discomfort that growth requires. Let me challenge you right now. What are you calling smart that's really just safe? What are you calling calm that's really just quitting in disguise? You've got dreams sitting in the back of your mind, collecting dust. And the longer you pretend like you're not ready, the longer you stay stuck. There's nothing noble about playing small. There's nothing strong about hiding your fire. There's nothing safe about a quiet life that never becomes what it could have been. Call your fear what it is. Call your laziness out. Call yourself forward. You're not boxed in. You're not trapped. You're not finished. You just stopped climbing. Somewhere along the way, you convinced yourself that effort wasn't worth it, that you'd done enough, that you had time to coast. But hear me on this. You're not out of options. You're out of effort. You didn't run out of chances. You stopped looking. You didn't run out of strength. You stopped using it. Life didn't push you down. You laid down. And the truth, staying average isn't about not having what it takes. It's about refusing to keep reaching. Every time you hit a wall, you have a choice. Push through or pitch a tent. And most people choose the tent. They get comfortable at a level that was only supposed to be temporary. They settle for good enough when greatness was still on the table. But not you, not anymore. Because once you realize you stopped rising, you can start again. Average doesn't feel like danger. That's what makes it dangerous. It feels stable, familiar, comfortable, but it's not holding you, it's swallowing you. Average is quicksand. The more you stay still, the deeper you sink. Every day you delay action. Every time you put off the hard choice, you go deeper, deeper into doubt, deeper into fear, deeper into the version of yourself you said you'd never become. You think you've got time, but time doesn't wait for people standing still. And while you sit, thinking, planning, overanalyzing, life is moving past you. Doors are closing, people are growing, and you're still trying to convince yourself that later is a good plan. It's not. Later is the lie average tells you while it's pulling you under. If you don't move now, you might not be able to move later. If you don't rise now, you may forget how. You're not sinking because life is unfair. You're sinking because you stopped stepping forward. Get up before it's too late. You weren't made to be a copy. You weren't born to blend into the background. You were built different for a reason. You're not here to follow the pattern. You're here to break the mold. Every strength you have, every gift, every experience, it's not random. It's not extra. It's part of a bigger purpose. You are not a copy. You are a calling. That fire inside of you, that vision you can't shake, that voice that keeps whispering you were made for more. It's not a fantasy. It's a reminder. You weren't just given potential. You were given responsibility. The ability to rise comes with the duty to try, to build, to lead, to live beyond limits. Stop waiting for someone to give you permission to be great. Stop acting like your uniqueness is a weakness. It's your weapon. You weren't designed to fit in. You were designed to make a mark. Start acting like it. Too many people shrink themselves to keep others comfortable. They lower their voice. They dull their shine. They sit small in spaces they were meant to shape. Why? To be accepted, to be liked, to not stand out too much. But here's the truth. You don't need permission to stand out. You need courage to stop hiding. You weren't born to fit into boxes. You were born to burn through limitations. Every time you hold back your ideas, every time you say less so someone else feels better, every time you quiet your gift, you betray it. You were made to lead, to challenge, to create space, not just occupy it. And some rooms are too small for your fire, not because you're too much, but because they were never meant to contain you in the first place. So stop shrinking. Stop apologizing for being bold, loud, passionate, different. You weren't meant to blend in. You were meant to flip the script, redesign the room, rewrite the rules, own it. We live in a world full of copies, people mimicking people, voices repeating what's popular instead of speaking what's true. But the world doesn't need more noise. It needs your voice. You're not here to echo what's already been said. You're here to bring something new, your truth, your strength, your perspective. When you try to fit into someone else's style, you lose the power of your own. When you try to be accepted by everyone, you end up losing yourself. You don't need to sound like them. You don't need to think like them. You don't need to move like them. Lead different, think different, live different. That's how change happens. That's how impact is made. Not through imitation, but through identity. So use your voice, even if it shakes, even if it's different, even if they don't understand it yet. Because the right people won't just hear it, they'll follow it. You're not trapped. You're not cornered. You're not powerless. You're just comfortable enough to stay the same. Comfort lies. It tells you things are fine when they're not. It tells you you've earned rest when you haven't even started the real work. It makes average feel acceptable. And here's the scary part. Comfort doesn't feel like failure. It feels like I'm doing okay. It feels like I'll try tomorrow. It feels like at least I'm not falling apart. But slow decay never feels like a crash. It feels like staying still. You don't need to hit rock bottom to rise. But you do need to stop lying to yourself. You need to admit that you've coasted long enough. That you've settled into routines that are keeping you small. That your fire didn't die, it just got smothered by comfort. You're not stuck because life is unfair. You're stuck because you stopped pushing. And the only way out is through discomfort, through challenge, through growth, through truth. Comfort kills drive. The moment you start choosing what's easy, you stop chasing what's meaningful. Comfort dulls your edge. That sharpness you once had, that hunger to improve, to grow, to rise. It fades when you stop stretching yourself. Comfort erases your hunger. Not all at once, slowly, quietly. You start hitting snooze more. You start scrolling instead of building. You say things like, I'll start Monday, but Monday never comes. You start making excuses instead of moves. You tell yourself you're being smart when you're really just scared. You tell yourself you're being patient when you're really just passive. Every time you choose comfort, you feed the part of you that wants to stay average. Every time you avoid the hard thing, you become more okay with being less than what you could be. And don't get it twisted. Comfort is not rest. Real rest restores you. Comfort drains you while making you think you're fine. Comfort will let you live a quiet life. But quiet doesn't mean full. Quiet doesn't mean proud. Quiet doesn't mean strong. It just means the noise in your soul has been turned down so low you forgot it was ever loud. Comfort doesn't come in screaming. It comes in whispers. Take it easy. You've done enough. No one's watching anyway. And those whispers become chains. They keep you still when you should be moving. They keep you soft when you should be sharpening. Here's the truth. If you don't disrupt comfort, it will destroy you quietly. Not with chaos, not with failure, but with wasted time. The pain of discipline is real, yes, but it has a purpose. It builds, it stretches, it prepares. The pain of comfort, it just delays, it rots, it steals. Discipline may leave you tired, but it won't leave you empty. Comfort may leave you feeling fine, but you'll wake up years later wondering where your fire went. Comfort doesn't care about your goals. It doesn't care about your future. It only wants you to stay exactly where you are. But if you ever want to live a life that's bigger than average, you'll have to fight for it. And that fight starts when you stop listening to the soft voice that says stay, and start moving forward, even when it hurts. Every day you choose average, you're not just playing it safe, you're giving something up. And it's not just time. You're losing pieces of who you could have been. That book you never wrote, that business you never started, that body you never built, that life you never lived, because maybe later felt easier than start now. Average doesn't charge you up front, it charges you slowly.
You start hitting snooze more. You start scrolling instead of building. You say things like, I'll start Monday, but Monday never comes. You start making excuses instead of moves. You tell yourself you're being smart when you're really just scared. You tell yourself you're being patient when you're really just passive. Every time you choose comfort, you feed the part of you that wants to stay average. Every time you avoid the hard thing, you become more okay with being less than what you could be. And don't get it twisted, comfort is not rest. Real rest restores you. Comfort drains you while making you think you're fine. Comfort will let you live a quiet life, but quiet doesn't mean full. Quiet doesn't mean proud. Quiet doesn't mean strong. It just means the noise in your soul has been turned down so low, you forgot it was ever loud. Comfort doesn't come in screaming. It comes in whispers. Take it easy. You've done enough. No one's watching anyway. And those whispers become chains. They keep you still when you should be moving. They keep you soft when you should be sharpening. Here's the truth. If you don't disrupt comfort, it will destroy you quietly. Not with chaos, not with failure, but with wasted time. The pain of discipline is real, yes, but it has a purpose. It builds, it stretches, it prepares. The pain of comfort, it just delays, it rots, it steals. Discipline may leave you tired, but it won't leave you empty. Comfort may leave you feeling fine, but you'll wake up years later wondering where your fire went. Comfort doesn't care about your goals. It doesn't care about your future. It only wants you to stay exactly where you are. But if you ever want to live a life that's bigger than average, you'll have to fight for it. And that fight starts when you stop listening to the soft voice that says stay and start moving forward, even when it hurts. Every day you choose average, you're not just playing it safe, you're giving something up. And it's not just time, you're losing pieces of who you could have been. That book you never wrote, that business you never started, that body you never built, that life you never lived because maybe later felt easier than start now. Average doesn't charge you up front, it charges you slowly, in stolen days, in missed moments, in chances you never took. You think you're avoiding failure, but you're just trading it for something worse, regret. There's a hidden cost to staying comfortable, and you won't feel it now, but it'll show up years from now when you look back and ask, what if I had just gone for it? What if you had pushed through instead of pulling back? What if you had risen instead of resting in the middle? See, potential doesn't expire overnight. It fades with every average decision you keep justifying. Don't let the life you could have had become the one you're too afraid to chase, because average doesn't just waste your time, it wastes your future. Let's get real. Are you proud of your last 10 days? Did they reflect the life you said you wanted? Did they reflect the person you promised you'd become? Go back. Think about who you were at 8, 10, 15. That version of you, so full of fire, imagination, belief. That kid who dreamed big, who didn't care what anyone thought, who believed they could fly. What would they say about the life you're living now? Would they see you and say, that's who I became? Or would they look at you and wonder what happened? That version of you didn't dream about a safe life. They didn't imagine waking up tired, scrolling through other people's lives and calling that living. They didn't picture you settling, shrinking, coasting. So ask yourself, when did you stop pushing? When did you start settling? And more importantly, why are you still choosing that today? You don't owe the world an explanation, but you owe that younger version of you something. You owe them the fight. You owe them the climb. You owe them the chance to become everything they knew you could be. Excuses don't walk in like burglars. They don't break down the door. They sneak in dressed like reason. I'm too tired. I'll do it when I'm ready. It's not the right time. They sound smart, they sound safe, but every single one of them is a thief. Every excuse is a thief in a different outfit. They steal your time, they steal your focus, they steal your energy, your fire, your future. And the worst part, they don't leave fingerprints, they just leave your life untouched, unchanged, underlived. You're not losing because you're failing, you're losing because you're hesitating. While you're overthinking, someone else is out working. While you're waiting for the perfect moment, someone else is making progress with messy action. While you're convincing yourself to wait, your goals are dying of starvation. Excuses don't look dangerous, that's why they work so well. But if you could see how much they've stolen from you already, you'd never make another one again. Nobody gets handed greatness, not the strong, not the smart, not the talented. No one hands you greatness, you claim it through choice. You rise by leading yourself, through the grind, the failure, the quiet days when nothing is working, but you keep showing up anyway. Leadership isn't about having followers, it's about having standards. Most people wait to be led. Leaders get up and lead themselves, not because they feel ready, but because they know what's required. It's brushing off comfort when it shows up dressed as rest. It's doing what needs to be done when no one's checking. It's setting a direction and moving with purpose, day after day. You want more? You have to become more. Not someday, not when it's easy. Right now, self-leadership is the foundation of everything you want. Discipline, direction, strength, growth. And it starts the moment you stop waiting and start rising. Real leadership doesn't ask, can I? It asks what needs to be done. It doesn't stall. It doesn't pause for approval. It moves with courage, with clarity, and with full ownership. That's what internal leadership is made of. Discipline to do the hard things, especially when it's boring. Courage to act, especially when fear is loud. Responsibility to own your results, especially when they fall short. It's not about leading others. It's about refusing to be led by fear, laziness, or distraction. Because let's be honest, most people are looking for someone to blame, someone to follow, someone to fix it. But leaders, they fix themselves first. They don't shift responsibility, they carry it. Leadership begins when the blame ends. It begins the moment you say, this is on me, and then do something about it. Ownership isn't heavy when it fuels your fire.
It's what builds real power, and power never waits, it moves. Let's make it simple. You're either blending in or blazing forward. The crowd, it sticks together, it moves slow, it plays safe, it keeps you where you've always been. Why? Because the crowd fears standing out more than staying stuck. But you've got a decision to make. Do you want to echo what everyone else is doing, or lead in a direction only you can see? The crowd moves in circles. Leaders move forward. They take the harder route, the lonelier road, the uphill climb, because they know where it leads, to impact, to change, to real progress. You can't make a difference by doing what's familiar. You don't stand out by playing it safe. So ask yourself, are you walking the same tired loop, or are you carving your own trail? Leaders don't blend, they build, they break molds, and they keep moving forward. We live in a world where everyone wants to be seen, to be liked, to be approved. But let's be real, likes don't build legacy. Discipline does. Chasing applause will drain you. Performing for others will burn you out. Because the world isn't watching to build you up. It's watching to judge, to compare, to distract. You want to grow? Then stop living for the crowd. Who are you when no one's watching? That's the real question. Are you still getting up early when it's not on camera? Are you still working hard when no one's cheering? Are you still pushing limits when there's no post, no highlight, no praise? That's where transformation happens, not in the spotlight but in the shadows, in the silence, in the grind behind closed doors. You don't need to perform, you need to become. Let the world watch later. Right now, focus on building something deeper, because real growth isn't loud, it's quiet, private, and powerful. Flash doesn't mean foundation, style doesn't equal strength, and just because it looks good doesn't mean it's built to last. You can polish a junk car but it won't win the race. You can shine online, say the right words, wear the right clothes, post the perfect moments, but if there's no depth, no substance, no strength on the inside, you'll collapse when life hits hard. Don't just look successful, be solid underneath. That means building character when no one's clapping. That means staying honest when lies would be easier. That means doing right, even when it's hard, even when it's hidden. Because one day life will test your structure, and if all you've built is image, everything will fall. So stop chasing the look, chase the life, the one built on integrity, truth, consistency. The world rewards what it sees, but your future will be built on what it can. You want strength? Then stop chasing what's visible. Start building what's invisible. Build your integrity, even when it's hard, even when it costs. Build your focus, even when distractions scream louder, even when it's easier to scroll than study. Build your foundation, because without it, you'll collapse the moment pressure shows up. This isn't about being noticed, it's about being solid. It's about being unshakable when storms hit. Most people build for attention, the few build for endurance. The difference, one fades, the other lasts. Every day you wake up and choose discipline, you're building. Every moment you say no to comfort and yes to growth, you're building. Every time you show up even tired, even uncertain, you're building. It's not glamorous, it's not flashy, but it's real. And one day when it matters most, that quiet strength will be louder than any spotlight ever could be. Greatness doesn't show up in one big moment. It doesn't happen on the stage. It doesn't arrive with applause. It's not the highlight reel, it's the hidden reps. It's the early mornings, the quiet nights, the choices no one else sees. Every yes to discipline, every no to distraction, every small decision that no one will post about. That's where greatness is built. You want a breakthrough? Then show up in the boring. Because what you do daily matters more than what you do once in a while. Stop waiting for some massive opportunity to prove yourself. Prove yourself today in the way you move, think, train, and grow. Success doesn't come from one massive leap. It comes from 10,000 small steps you refuse to skip. You don't grow when it's easy. You grow when it's inconvenient. Show up tired.
Because energy comes and goes, but your habits need to stay. Say no when it's hard, to comfort, to shortcuts, to the noise pulling you off track. Get better when no one's watching. That's when it really counts. It's easy to move when everyone's watching, but the real test, can you move when the spotlight's off? Can you push when there's no recognition, no validation, no good job waiting for you at the end? That's what separates the ones who wish from the ones who win. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. It only cares what you do. Motivation fades, but habits, they stay. So forget waiting to feel ready. Get better tired. Get better uncomfortable, get better unseen. You're tired, rise anyway. You feel stuck, train anyway. You're doubting yourself, lead anyway, because life doesn't slow down. Obstacles don't care how you feel, and success won't wait for you to feel perfect. This is where the line is drawn between the ones who fold when it's hard and the ones who move forward anyway, rise anyway. Because average people rest when it gets hard, but greatness pushes through. Train anyway, because talent doesn't last without work, and dreams die without action. Lead anyway, because you don't need a title, you need responsibility, you need guts, you need the fire to move, whether or not the crowd claps. The difference between average and elite is what you do when no one claps. No cheering, no attention, just you, grinding, growing, rising anyway. Everyone wants the reward, but not everyone is willing to pay the price. You want greatness? Then you better be ready to bleed for it. You can't borrow greatness, you've got to bleed for it. It costs you time you could have spent relaxing, scrolling, or pretending you're not built for more. It costs you sweat, hours grinding when your body says stop and your mind says quit. It costs you tears, moments when no one believes, and you're the only one who sees the vision. And that cost, that's the filter. That's what separates the crowd from the committed. Because if it were easy, everyone would have it. But the truth is, most people tap out before they see results. They want the finish line, but avoid the footsteps. This is the deal. You either pay the price of effort now, or pay the price of regret later. You choose your pain. One leads to greatness, the other leads to nothing. You want to rise, then be ready for isolation. Be ready for judgment. You'll be called too much. You've changed. You're obsessed. They won't understand why you train when others sleep, why you say no when everyone says yes, why you disappear to work when they're out celebrating nothing. But that's part of the climb. They'll ignore you until they see your results. They'll laugh at your grind until they start copying your habits. They laugh until they copy. Let them doubt, let them watch, because you don't need agreement to grow. You don't need applause to move. All you need is that quiet voice inside you that says, keep going. They don't see it yet, but you do. And one day, the same ones who questioned you will wish they had started when you did. Let's not sugarcoat it. Discipline hurts. It hurts to say no. It hurts to push harder when you're already spent. It hurts to stay focused when distractions pull at you from every direction. But let me tell you something. Regret, that's a pain you don't want. Greatness is expensive, but regret, that's bankruptcy. It leaves you empty, wishing you could rewind, wishing you had tried harder, wishing you hadn't quit. And by then it's too late. You can't go back. You can only live with what you didn't do. So choose your pain. Suffer now in growth, or suffer later in guilt. Because pain is coming either way. One builds you, one breaks you. If it's going to hurt, make it count. If it's going to be hard, let it mean something. Bleed for the life you said you wanted, because the cost of greatness is high, but the cost of staying average is everything. Here it is, the line, the one that separates who you've been from who you're meant to be. You've seen average, you've lived average, you've let days pass without pushing, you've talked more than you've moved. But now you know, and once you know, you can't unknow. You're either going to step forward or stay stuck. You know what average looks like. You've lived it. Now choose different. Not tomorrow, not next month, not when it's easy. Now, because life doesn't wait. Opportunities don't beg. Time doesn't rewind. You've come this far. You've felt the weight of potential on your back. Now you decide, will you rise or will you roll over again? This is your line. Cross it. Stop shrinking. Stop dimming. Stop acting like you weren't born for more. You weren't meant to blend into the background. You weren't built to mimic what's already been done. You were built to break through. There is a fire in you, not a spark, not a flicker, a fire. The world doesn't need your silence. It needs your fire. It needs the version of you that speaks truth, that moves bold, that walks like the mission matters. Enough holding back, enough pretending to be small so others feel comfortable. The world doesn't change when people hide. It changes when someone dares to be seen, when someone rises, when someone finally says, I'm done blending in. That someone is you, right now, right here. Break through. Never settle for less than you can be, for less than you were born to do, for less than what's burning inside you. Never shrink for opinions, for doubt, for fear. You don't belong in a corner. You don't belong behind the crowd. You belong at the front, leading, building, becoming. Never be average, not in your effort, not in your standards, not in your vision. Average will not, comfort will call, fear will whisper, but you've heard all that before, and now you're choosing different. If you feel this fire move, if you hear this call, answer. The world is watching, but more importantly, you're watching, and it's time to show yourself what you're made of. Never settle, never shrink, never be average. Not now, not ever.